Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out for Piqued. Please take your seats. We'll be starting momentarily. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out to Piqued. Piqued is a meetup for electronic musicians and enthusiasts. It is February 19th, 2020. This is our 11th show. We've been growing strong. Thank you very much again for coming out. It's been such a pleasure and such a sweet thing we've been doing here. We've got two artists tonight. We've got Alphastare and Stevie Synth. Each artist will play a 15 to 20 minute set and then a Q&A session afterwards. And before we get started with that, I'd also like to announce that I'm going to be starting a new electronic music meetup as an open mic starting next week in Fairfax, California. It's going to be at 19 Broadway, and the show is called Digital Grass. So if you can make it out to the North Bay, please come on out. It's going to be an open mic. Anyone who wants to come and play is welcome to. Now with that over with, please welcome Alphastare to the stage. Alphastare, everyone. Jeff, thank you so much for playing tonight.
That was a blast.
That was a great set, man.
Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about the modules you're using over here tonight. I'm also very curious about this wonderful piece you have up here.
The piece sitting on top is the crank sturgeon. He's a kind of a craftsman. He makes like a bunch of weird electronic just devices. That's a Altoids box with a bunch of guitar strings that are hacked up and welded to it with a pickup inside of it, as well as a pickup that's attached to it. This external pickup, I wasn't actually using it tonight, but yeah, so I just had that running through for some textural stuff. But he also makes a whole bunch of like pickup-based devices that are just kind of crazy. He does stuff where you could like submerge, like microphones you could submerge in liquid or swallow if you wanted to or whatever, you know. He's very experimental.
That sounds pretty wild.
Yeah. I was going to hand the mic to you, but you have your own.
Yeah, okay, we don't have to share it, it's all right. Thanks for offering, though, appreciate it.
No problem.
So, and what was the app you're using that you're on the touchpad?
The Borderlands app, which I've been using for a few years, kind of on and off, but he just updated it recently, and I haven't even taken advantage of the updates yet, but you should check out Borderlands. It's like a granular sampler. You can basically feed any kind of file into it. I don't know like what the video captured, but the files, you can kind of move them around, and you can like just set up all these grains and stuff and like slide the files through them. And it's the updates are cool. You can like automate stuff where you can like record a bunch of motions, like slide your files through the grains and get a whole bunch of crazy stuff and like have that recorded and like looping and that sort of thing. I haven't even explored any of that stuff yet. It's a super deep app, which is good because, you know, it sucks when you pay a bunch of money for something and get bored of it after, 2 or 3 tries. So, yeah.
And tell me about your whole setup in general, how you got prepared for tonight.
I kind of didn't. The other night when we ran into each other at Frank's awesome event, FM1.
That's right, we were at
where is he? FM1.
The FM1
3
plus one mystery event at
one,
the
right.
Armory Club that Frank Martin puts together.
Shout out to Frank Martin. Well, you brought up, you're like, so you're ready for Wednesday? And I was like, what? Because I thought it was in my mind.
It was like next week?
Yeah, I thought it was the last Wednesday of the month, So I was like,
yeah, it's a good thing we saw each other.
Yeah. So preparation was basically just whatever I kind of had already patched up. I was just kind of in the middle of messing around with some stuff and exploring some things. And I had just got that one module that you were asking about, I think, which is the load runner sampler, which has got also a granular sampler that you can put files into. And I was playing some of that with the make noise pressure points. I was able to put that. It's got a volt per octave input, so you can actually put I was playing BART essentially. I had like a drone that I recorded just going through the tunnel on BART on my phone, and I had that just sitting in there with like a tiny section of that selected, just like looping, but with a volt per octave on it, so you can like kind of punch notes in and use it as like a tonal device as well. So that was kind of what I was messing with there. And then the crazy noise stuff, that glitchy sounds, all that stuff was the 2 modules by Peter Blasser, who does this Lombard stuff, if you guys are familiar with Peter Blasser. Some of you probably are. He has this line of actual Eurorack modules called the EASCOOL F Mobenthi line, which is sounds like some made-up word or something. He's probably got some, it's probably like different words mixed up into, the letters are mixed up or something. But anyway, that was the touch capacitance thing that I was messing around with, was that one green module. And then the one next to it is one of his other ones from that series that is like more of a kind of an oscillator based on bounds and bounce, the concepts of bounds and bounce. which you can look up that stuff if you're curious. It's pretty interesting to read about his.
I think we probably all will.
His descriptions are really just kind of like, what? Like he's just an interesting person. And the modules just sound amazing. I love his work. They're just kind of weird and just sort of like, you don't really know what's going on, man,
Then do you have to order those specifically from him?
One I got when I was on the East Coast, I actually stopped into Control. So that's where I got the touch capacitance one that's called the Mr. Grossi module. And then I actually got the other one, I think I found it in a Reverb, the Denim, and that's the second module that's next to that one. But he's got like, I think 4 or 5 other ones, and they all kind of come in a set. So when you order them from him, you can really only get the set, or like there's a couple of the ones you can buy loose, but they're kind of hard to come by in a way. But I guess if you write to him or just order from his site. Otherwise, used, try to find used. I got lucky and just like that one popped up, and it was a pretty good deal.
And what were you doing with you have the Mother 32 up there?
The Mother 32 was more or less a little bit of the kind of classic Moog sounds that you were hearing. I was kind of sweeping the filter on that and just kind of running that through as a pseudo lead instrument because it's got those little buttons on it. I don't really have a keyboard, and I don't really mess around with the controllers like Archer or any of those. There's a lot of really cool controllers out there that I've been eyeballing, but I haven't really gone down that route. I kind of just like the weird controllers and stuff. So, but that's the only thing I've got that has like a traditional scaled keyboard, basically. But it's just those little buttons, so you can't really do too much with it. But just basic.
I'm very much into the touch plate sort of style myself.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I appreciate what you have all set up there.
Nice. Yeah, I like the touch plate angle. I think I'd probably go more down that line. I think touch plate, like the Micro Freak or whatever that one is. Yeah. That sounds like a cool.
It'd be great to get your fingers on that.
I should get one of those. Maybe I'll do that.
And do we have any questions from the audience tonight? First one, all right.
Hey.
So when I was listening to the set, I got this real sense of musical tension between what felt like roiling chaos, just very carefully clamped under control. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you envision when you work a piece like this, the forcing between those two things, because those seem very evident in your music, at least to me. I don't know, maybe I'm totally off base, but
no,
what are you thinking when you make it?
It's pretty perceptive. I kind of just go into blank state, when I start to do any kind of set. I've been doing experimental music on and off since the 90s, and it's usually just something that I really prefer to kind of show up cold usually, which is kind of hard and dicey to do with this kind of setup, But like I said, I already kind of had this patched up for a little bit, so it was already I was playing with different sections of the modular, just kind of going through different bits where I could okay, how could I maybe just ride something into something else? I wanted to just kind of pull a little bit of melody in. That's when I just pulled the Mother 32 in, just to kind of get just a little bit, because I do like a little bit of melody in my music, but not like totally forced, and also orchestrated, or I'm not particularly a composer, so I don't really write pieces for this kind of thing, so I think that is a part of it. But, and then, yeah, having that and then trying to incorporate that with just total chaos, like that one module I was just describing is just basically, you put your finger on it and you don't know what the hell's going to come out of it, it's just like, and then you flip the little switch in the middle and it's like these super high piercing frequencies come out that could probably hurt you, So I do like that element of danger and kind of chaos and just like, I don't know what's going to happen, I tuned everything beforehand, at least. I started with at least everything kind of A432.
I got one for you.
Wait.
So at the end of the set, and I think also at the beginning, there was this softer volume, but industrial sounding kind of drone. It almost sounded like, to me, it was kind of the base of the soup of the aesthetic that you had going on.
That kind of crackling.
Yeah.
That was the sampler I was telling you about with the Bart,
I guess,
sample.
But my question is, when you started this patch, was that part of the beginning of the patch, or did that come later? I was just thinking that how you faded that last drone, where, as far as your creative process goes, where did that drone fit into the patch, and did it come at the start, or was it something you added later? And how do you set your patches up creatively?
That's always different, but essentially, like I was saying, I had this patched up for a minute. So I had been kind of messing around with some other things, like with those kind of crazy chaos modules and stuff. But I did want to have like a base for all of that to sit on top of, and that was it's called the Pulse Synthesis Load Runner. It's a granular synthesizer, a granular module that you can just load files into. And that's when I was pointing out to you earlier. It's got just a recording from Bart, just a drone cycling, and I was able to kind of pitch that, so just taking that, throw something in the Volt Pro Octave and have that as one of I basically had 3 different oscillators controlled by the pressure points. So I had the Throbbing Gristle module, the TG2 modulator, the Fusion VCO, the Erica Synth Fusion VCO, and the Pulse Synthesis Load Runner with that sample in it, all under control from the pressure points with a different note tuned, to each one. So as close as I could as possible to kind of keep it, all in tune. But yeah, I basically just tuned all that stuff to I think D. I think I'm just in D. But that was very much a basis of the patch for sure.
I also noticed that you had Div Kids mutes in there. Was that used in your set tonight?
I did use it when those drums kicked in. I think you maybe heard those like kind of hi-hats and stuff coming in. I had a kick going too, but I think it might have got lost in that second output module that kind of comes unconnected every once in a while. But basically that was the one main thing I used it for, just to kind of kick those hats and stuff in. Yeah, I've only got 2 things going through that. Once I want to load that thing up with some more stuff and do more switching.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, Jeff, thank you again so much for coming out and playing tonight, man. It was a real pleasure to have you.
Right on, man. This guy's doing a lot of really cool stuff for the synth community and the electronic music community, and he's one of the better dressed people doing it, so take note.
Thanks, Jeff. Oh, we have one more question. All right. Hold on.
Hey. If you Google Alphastare, just all this stuff comes up. I've got just YouTube and Bandcamp and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not too much of anything like high professional, just like clips and snippets and stuff and works in
Since
progress.
I have the mic, I was going to ask about the spoken vocal sample that was maybe about a quarter of the way in.
That was the Tenderloin.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I just like to record stuff when I'm walking around, and then when I'm in interesting neighborhoods, I like to just kind of have something at the ready, and I was just walking down, I don't even know what street, 6th Street or something, in Tenderloin a while. That's probably from a year ago. So I was just recording. Yeah.
Yeah, the teal's good for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, everybody.
So we're going to take a short break, getting ready for Stevie's synth when we come back.